Hello and welcome to the Western Bulldogs podcast that is becoming known as the lucky charm of the western suburbs. We'll dive into that a little bit later on, Marcus. But welcome to episode 22, Barclay Street, hashtag Barclay Street, brought to you by Mercedes every week. Mercedes-Benz, they don't pick and choose when they come to play. Not like some high-flying midfielders. Maybe today, maybe not today. Not you, Marcus. Not you.
Yeah.
No,
Glad you cleared that up.
wanted to make the point that Mercedes-Benz,
Through
they
thick and
show
thin.
up day in, day out. How are you, my friend?
Going well, mates. Going well. Clearly at past the sort of pointy end of the season into that final eight, which we were really gunning for coming into the last month of football. So clearly got another game to play this weekend against the Saints, which we're looking forward to. But going well. How are you going, mate? Things back home seem to be well and truly improving, but looks like the weather's turning a little bit too, which does help perspective at times. How are things back home?
It's there's a lot more optimism around town. For anyone that's interested. But I think we were chatting at the start of the year. One other thing with wearing the masks around all the time, and I went for a walk yesterday with Justine. You can't tell how people are feeling, and when it was in the sort of in the grim sort of weeks of winter, you really couldn't tell if people were upset or down but yesterday even people still had their masks on, but you could sense people's optimism.
Yeah.
The sun was out. The numbers are down. Looks like we're going to get through it. So yeah, there's a good vibe around Melbourne again. Hey, can I ask you actually just on that, because this time of year for football people is synonymous. So that the smell of spring is always what I call the checks and balances of the year. That first smell of the jasmine means you're either in the finals or you're done, and that's. You sort of know where you're at just from that sense of smell. What's it like up north? Is it different to that? It's a pretty naive question.
It is. The thing I always sort of...
naive, is it?
Oh, sorry, mate. I just cut you off. I thought you were going to continue meandering on about a point or a question that I already understand. It is. Like the thing with finals, you normally get a sense. Obviously, you come out of winter. The really, I can't remember what do you normally term the maturity sort of test? Is that like the July August sort of period? Yeah, it's like you come out of that where it gets cold. We haven't probably had to experience that in a sense, but the thing I've always that's sort of synonymous with finals is it's sort of sunshine, like you said. Like the weather starts to warm up, you sort of feel the sun on your face sort of in training, and things just all of a sudden feel a little bit brighter. Like they're already very colourful during season anyway, but it just feels like there's a shift. It's like, oh, okay, everything sort of turns up a couple of notches, and the feel is just there's an air of excitement that sort of carries you through, which this group's been really good at, maintaining the positivity throughout this season, regardless of what's been happening. But there's a different sense and a feel to being in that final eight.
We'll talk about the final series at length in a few minutes, because I know a lot of people are pretty excited for obvious reasons, and they're excited that we've got a podcast today, because it's grown legs, mate. That whenever we podcast, the Dogs get over the line. So we are committed, aren't we? You and I are committed till the end of the year, surely.
We are. Yep. Yeah, we're ticking those boxes now. It's happened too often for us not to value it.
Well, it's a mathematical certainty. I trust the numbers.
It is.
But can I ask you about Tori Dickson, who retired this week, one of your Premiership teammates?
Yeah, pretty low key affair from Tory, and that's I think that's sort of a bit how Tory was. He was never, never sort of tooting his own horn. He was always just a player you could rely on from a game perspective, but just continued to sort of operate, off the radar a little bit. And unlike his goal kicking, which was always bang on, and you've played a fair bit with Tory. He was an incredible talent, and he obviously had an incredible influence on our finals run and win a few years ago. But he's an incredible person, Dicko, because he's someone you feel comfortable talking to, having a conversation with about whatever's on your mind, and can trust that he's obviously got your back in that regard. So he was a really, really special person at the football club and deserves to be congratulated on the career that he's had.
Yeah, no, mate, he had a wonderful career. He was always a good teammate. We tried to get him on the podcast today, but I think he does have a few family logistics to kind of juggle as he leaves the hub. So we wish him all the best from all the Bulldogs fans and all the people at the club. Congratulations, Tori, on a wonderful career.
There was a nice video I think he did with the club just before he left the hub. So for anyone who wants to hear a bit about his career and how it formed, it obviously started a bit later. I think at about 23 or 24 he was drafted, and is maybe a bit younger, 22ish, and he's made it obviously through to now. He's had a great career. So catch the video I think on the website about Dicko just talking about his journey.
He was a fine player, wasn't he? An absolute star at different times.
Yeah.
Hey,
Did you know he finished with the highest, percentage, most accurate goal kicking history? I think over 200 shots or something like that. Incredible.
That's unbelievable, isn't
Yeah,
it?
74 and a bit percent, I think, which was 181, 61, I think was his record. So an incredible achievement.
We were talking about this on radio yesterday on Drive with Bob and Andy on SEN and 1160.
Plug.
And I was we're chatting about it, and Tory had a great technique. He's a really sound technical kick, and he did he was fanatical about getting enough shots in and practice. He was a total pro with that. Yeah. But he also had the psychological thing of, he really loves kicking goals. You can tell right through his career, junior career.
He wanted it. Yeah.
He wants the ball. He likes kicking goals. And there's always the balance of wanting to kick them and being worried about missing them, where he had it very much weighted in. He's addicted to kicking goals.
The interesting thing about Dicko too, because I had it up at different points. You've either things come undone in your technique or your routine, and you obviously go to the people. I spoke to you a bit about it at different times about trying to smooth over some edges in your routine. The thing about Dicko is he didn't really have a set routine. He was always a feel type of person. From the conversations I had with him, he just said, I just needed to get back far enough. And then I literally just trusted myself and my build-up to get enough momentum and power and just almost felt his way through it. Whereas you can go the other way. Some goal kickers, really good goal kickers, are really a lot more regimented, where they go back so far, they walk so many steps, and then they get on a jog and then let it go after 12 steps or whatever it is. But he just felt his way through it, which was, speaks to what, his goal kicking routine was.
Yeah. He also had really massive feet, which I don't know if that gives him a bigger sweet spot on his foot, but that's not a confirmed theory. It is fact that they are huge feet, but I've just still got to work out a few of the kinks in that theory. What about your big teammate Aaron Naughton? Is he's fit and ready to go? They tell me
he's good. Yep, he's good. He had, off the back of the surgery, had a couple of days of sort of quarantine. We weren't able to train together for a few, but that was last week. So he trained with the group yesterday and sort of basically, don't know if you saw any of the photos of the headgear he's got, but obviously he's going to support the area that was operated on. But he's going well. He'll get to the game, and what he's like. Something like that, like a player like Aaron Norton probably won't phase, just because he loves the game. He's a natural athlete, and he's confident.
Simplifying things, doesn't he?
Exactly. Yeah.
Not that he is simple. Different to being,
Well, yeah. Well, that's probably open to conjecture. But he'll be fine. He'll be ready to go. He just takes all that sort of stuff in his stride, and then once he's a very good game day athlete. Once he's there, he's ready to roll.
What about Mitchy Wallace? He looked a bit sore after the last game.
Yeah, he was. And you probably, whether across your career, you've had probably shoulder ops and little instability moments. They can be a little bit jarring, where they sort of feel a little bit uncomfortable for a few days and can carry on. But as long as you get the strength and the right stability back in it, you can be pretty good. So at this stage, mate, he's the same. He trained the other day and looked pretty good as well. So at this stage, they're both looking right on track, which is nice.
Okay, so we're pretty much we've got apart from Toby and a couple of others, we're going in pretty healthy, which is a good sign.
Yep.
Are you a fan of the bye before the finals?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I probably have myself at different times wondering, like, is it helpful? Is it not? At times it has been really helpful from a squad perspective in terms of health and being able to get players another week and give yourself a rest. But it certainly is a little bit, there's a bit of a clunk to it. I reckon you've got to adjust to the fact that, you're not playing on the weekend and teams that have momentum, potentially how you look at it can wear it off. But I sort of feel like it's a good chance to just set yourself in terms of your body and your mind. You can take that little day or two to just come off the high revs that is AFL and then really set yourself for a big week and a big game. So I sort of am probably impartial. I don't mind it. I could see us playing the weekend that we didn't, but also I think it does help set yourself for a big final series.
Oh, now it's remiss of me not to mention the All-Australian goal, mate. You and two other teammates. It's a fair effort for the footy club. You must be proud of your own individual effort. First year as skipper to make the All-Australian team.
Yeah, it is, and not often, do you really seek out those awards or those accolades. Always a bigger pictures that the team, but you do have to reflect at different times to make sure you don't miss the moments and those small recognitions or accolades along the way. I think make you proud as a footballer. Obviously, understanding that there's bigger things that you're wanting to achieve, but especially for the other two, and probably more especially for Caleb, who's had really a super couple of years of football, and this year is really getting the recognition probably for those previous ones as well, and that's obviously his first All-Australian blazer, I guess you'd say. Is a super effort for him, and then for Jacko to follow up from last year as well is always really impressive, where you can put two really consistent years of football together. So for the club, like you said, it's a great acknowledgement of probably the direction that we're heading in.
Did all three of you wear the blazer down to the buffet the next morning for breakfast?
We didn't.
Just as a subtle reminder.
No, we didn't, because we've obviously been up here for a little bit. It was pretty early on in the year, and none of us, probably maybe Jack. It wouldn't have surprised me if Jack packed it in his 30-day suitcase, thinking that maybe if we're up here longer, he'll be able to pull it out. But probably Caleb and I are a bit more understated. We've just, just the normal kit for us, really. But it is a bit of a power move, isn't it? If you had all the blazers just down the
so in when we take on the Saints on Saturday, will you be lining up on your traditional half forward flank, or will you be drifting into the midfield?
Well, wouldn't you like to know? You want an exclusive, do you? Well, mate, match committee's still probably a few days away yet, so I'll leave that to the coach just to work out. But based on that selection, maybe we will. Maybe we'll have to throw a spanner in the works and see where it lies. But we shall see with that one.
Yeah, well, I don't expect to see you on the half-back flank. I'm not sure your GPS is...
I don't fit that mould. I lay too many tackles.
Just an unnecessary jibe. Hey, let's save a little bit of the finals chat. We want to talk about the Saints and a whole heap of other stuff after the break, but we have some Bulldog royalty on the Mount Rushmore of Footscray legends. The man we love, but we know him simply as the Glove. Dale Morris, coming up next. Welcome back to the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street, the 22nd episode. And gee, we just keep rolling out the big guests, and they don't get much bigger if you're a Western Bulldogs supporter than this man, the finals hero, the Premiership hero of 2016, Dale Morris. Moz, welcome to Barclay Street, my friend.
There he is.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro. That was very nice of you.
That's just a bit of showbiz shtick, mate.
So it's not real.
Oh no, it was just it was an email. Yep. It was an email.
I love how people that really know you know that that's all. It's all shit. They read straight through it.
That was just an email sent through from Adrian. That
I actually sent it to him for you to say. So it's all good.
How are you, man? What's going on?
No, going all right. It's 9:30 and the kids are already bored, so got a long day ahead. But
Do your kids tell you they're bored? Because that's the kryptonite for me.
every 5 minutes. I think I'm onto an absolute ripper idea, and we'll get cracking. We'll do it, and literally a minute after we're finished, we're bored. We just did this, and they're like, what else can we do? It's the holidays have actually been harder than the homeschooling, because homeschooling there was structure, there were things to do, whereas now it's just a free for all, and they know it's holidays, and they've done everything there is to do around the house. So been a lot of bike rides, that's for sure. Get them out.
A lot of bike rides. Was the news that school's going back? Was that received with excitement, or what was the general sort
Look at
of
the facial expressions?
Oh, popping open the champagne bottles and everything. It was good news, and I think I took the reins for the homeschooling because I could. Unfortunately, being on stand down since March and stuff enabled me to really be, really hands-on with the kids and with the homeschooling and stuff, which was great. It had its challenges, that's for sure. We still love each other after the 2 stints. But,
what challenged you the most? Which parts got you the most? That you thought you were maybe good at? I thought I was all right at math, but now all of a sudden, no.
Well, I had to do long division again, and it's been over 20 years since I've done long division, so I had to quickly Google how to do it, just to refresh. But I think the biggest thing, and I don't know how many times I said it to the kids, was, do you talk to your teachers like this? It was just, it was doing my head in. But it was a bit of a roller coaster. There were some tears shed by everyone, but it was still quite rewarding. You start the week when they've got absolutely no idea how to do something, and then by the end of the week they get it, and you sit there and you're proud parent moments and stuff like that. So it was a challenge, but thank goodness school is back.
Yeah, well, it's reason for us to celebrate, mate. You've had a pretty dramatic year, like you said. Part of the the cutbacks and being stood down in March, having to endure lockdown and homeschooling and all that. But you're back in a business development role. You've gone corporate. I'm surprised you're not in a suit today. Actually, this is.
I thought about it. I thought about just putting the shirt on with the tie, but I couldn't.
You got a briefcase?
Not yet. I'll have to get one. I have to see if Dad's got a few spare ones at home. But
you excited about the new job?
I am, and like you said, you talk about a roller coaster this year, and add to that, hurt the knee again playing with the kids during the park early in the year. So even with the coaching gig that I had, it was kind of modified because I couldn't get involved properly. I was walking around with a brace, as Bont would remember, and there's been quite a few challenges along the way, and you add to that, no one wants to hear that you've lost your job, and being on stand down since March, and then getting to the point where you're actually made redundant. It wasn't too nice. It was quite stressful, but totally understand. I mean, you look at the current climate with everything, and absolutely everyone is going through it. But the credit to the club, and Nick Trulson at the club came up with the idea of me stepping into a new role, and I can't thank him enough. And to go from that low of being made redundant to then there's actually another opportunity here to stay at the club in a new role, and swapping the singlet and the shorts for a shirt and a tie, which would be something different. And I'll be looking for Bont to come and take him through the corporate boxes if he's not playing, and looking after all the corporate sponsors and stuff. But it's a challenge, and I'm going to bring a certain level of skill sets to that challenge, but there's going to be a lot that I need to pick up and learn, and I'm coming into a great team, and they're going to help me along the way.
What sort of suit are you filling out these days? Have you used the time at home? Have you sort of put the weights down?
Show him. I want to see him.
It's still working. Not as big. Not as big. The gym at home has been a godsend. I've been able to train and still get stuck into it. But I won't be wearing any dark shirts because yeah, I've still got from my playing days. I still get a bit sweaty and stuff like that. So it'll be light shirts only, but we'll get there.
What about the footy, Moz? Have you found over the last few months? Have you been watching more than usual, less than usual? I know you'd be keeping a close eye on the Dogs.
Yeah, I've been watching it a lot, and probably more than I did, because I'm watching it now as a supporter and as a spectator more than a coach. And I'll sit there, and it's actually been nice to sit there and watch it with the kids. And Charlie's really getting in to the Doggies. He keeps changing who his favourite players are. But anyone who stands out at the moment, he likes Timmy English because he stands out quite a bit. All the boys are quite tanned and all the rest of it, so Timmy's standing out even more. But
boys look fresh.
I think with the challenges, there's some silver lining in it all, and to be able to sit down and watch footy with the kids has been pretty cool.
Do you miss playing at all? Oh, sorry, Moz. Sorry, Bont.
That's right. I was along the similar lines. Like Bob asked me in a previous chat just about, finals and noticing, the feel is obviously different when it comes to that time of year. You played in a number of finals, back in 2008, 9, that period where you guys really dominated. And then obviously again later on in sort of 15, 16. What are your memories or the feelings around playing finals from your perspective, mate?
I think just the shift from the end of the season to that first week of finals is a completely different feel to everything you do. Completely different feel to training. Just the excitement that you can feel building just from that as soon as the season starts and you're playing finals. And you talk about momentum and excitement. It happened, all those final series and making prelims early days and then being able to go all the way. The feeling was the same with just that. You get into the finals, you get that win, you get that momentum, you can feel people jumping on board, the support. It's an exciting time and an exciting place to be.
Do you miss playing, Moz? Like, do you sit here still? I mean, I know how much of a competitor you were, but do you miss actually getting out there, or you feel sort of satisfied and done?
I'm a bit. I'll sit down and watch, and that competitive nature. I'll sit back and geez, I could have done better there. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
To actually go out and play, I sit back and go,
that might be closer to ego than competitive.
maybe a little bit, but no, it's watching them play and the way the game's played. I'll sit back and go, geez, I couldn't do that anymore. 3 knees in 2 years had a big say in that, but you look back at these athletes and what they're able to do and the hits they're able to take and stuff, and you look back and go, geez, did we do that? It's watching it from a spectator. You have even more respect and admiration for the players and what they do, especially those that unfortunately get injured and come back from injuries and are able to play at such a high standard.
What about Tori Dixon? You would have seen the news during the week that your Premiership teammate stepped away after a pretty incredible career, pretty unorthodox career in lots of ways. But have you got a thought on your old teammate?
Yeah, I reached out to Tori and sent him a text for his birthday, and then a couple of days later for retirement. And it's a tough time. Unfortunately, footy does come to an end for everybody, and when that end comes, it's never easy. So just reaching out to him and texting him to see how he is and congratulate him on such an incredible journey and an incredible career. And I know his son Riley would be super proud of him. Because it's a big effort just to get into the AFL and then to have the career he's had is pretty cool. But, what I remember of Tory and what I'll always remember is he just never missed. When he was having a shot on goal, you knew it was going to go through. He's such a clever, crafty forward, good speed, but he'd work to get other teammates out. And that's what I loved about him is he was such a team player.
I've got a question probably more for probably both of you in terms of that the time and the period where you've sort of made the decision that you're going to retire. What what sort of experience would Dicko be having now in terms of, he's had his career, he's had an incredible career like you both did, and then you go into this period of, obviously you've made the decision. What are the sort of feelings that sort of you feel or run through you, the thoughts maybe through your mind at the minute? Moz, maybe you talk to it a bit first.
Yeah, initially there's quite a lot of emotion, as you can imagine. There's a lot of sadness that goes through because you just don't want it to end. But there's a lot of pride in there as well, and joy from looking back at your career and early days. There's just an influx of messages and phone calls that that makes you feel really good and stuff. And then after a period of time, that stops and it really slows down, and that's when a bit of reflection comes in, and you start thinking about going, wow, it's actually over. So that'll hit all of us. That'll hit Tori. Probably later this week. I'm not sure. Where he's at the moment. Whether is he still in the hub or is he coming home? Or
he's up to he flew across to Sydney or went down. I guess to Sydney. He probably wouldn't have even flown just to see his partner there for a couple of days, and then he'd be back home. I'm pretty sure to catch up with Riley and probably set himself up down there. So he's got a couple of days before being back home with you guys.
Yeah. So there'll come a time where everything quietens down, and then he'll just stop and reflect and think and be like, wow, yeah, it is over. And then it's a bit daunting that you're like, what am I going to do now? What's next? What's next for Tori? I went through the same thing. Going, what am I going to do? And that's where, that support network is so important, that you can talk to people and make sure that you're going okay, but then also bounce ideas off them about what is next, and having those people around you can really, really help.
Yeah, you're spot on, Moz. One thing I'd add was that I think footballers are built for the week to week. It's all about getting up for the next week. That's why the cliche 1 week at a time is so real, because that's how you're built for. And I think once you finally hang the boots up, you kind of start to appreciate that all the people that helped you, like you sort of get into this thing of like it's you that gets up early, it's you that goes to the gym, it's you that puts the effort in the day to day. But you start to reflect on junior coaches, your parents, your siblings, your partner, your kid, like all the people that kind of helped you along the way. And like you say, Moz, after a bit of time, you start to, it is a bit like letting go of a bit of your childhood, which is kind of, which for some people might sound silly, but it is kind of, it's kind of heavy stuff, and Moz and I are lucky, we're just about middle-aged when we hung up the boots. But there is a part of your childhood that sort of ends when you stop playing footy, which is something that I hadn't sort of really thought about too much.
I think the hardest part going through that was, it's hard for me as an individual and as the footy player, but the hardest part was, telling the kids and watching their reaction, because they've only ever known Daddy, the footy player. That's what Daddy's always, that's just what he's done. And they're like, what are you going to do? And the stress and panic on their face about what are you going to do now sort of thing was it was something else. And it was also, we went through some time where the kids thought that other kids were only their friends because I played footy. So they went through all these different emotions that they're going to lose their friends because Daddy doesn't play footy anymore. So people aren't going to like me. So it wasn't just what was happening to me, it was what was happening to my kids and stuff like that as well, which was different. I didn't think of that side of things.
Yeah, my kids, it didn't even register with mine, I don't think. They're just like, oh, yeah. A couple of them probably still think I do play. They probably still
because like talking about that, it seems like there are parts that you lose and as part of it, but there also seems like there's other things that you gain in terms of more time you've got available. You don't have Bob, you probably still get heckled and trolled on the socials, but it seems like there's parts to retiring that you almost get back or that you didn't have throughout your career.
100%. Yeah, I think we covered off on all probably the hard things and the tough things, maybe the sad things just now, but there's a lot of good that can come out of it. And that time with the family, like I'd spend every night before a game out in the granny flat or in a separate bed, and then the night after a game too, to be able to recover. So there's a lot of sacrifices from Jem and the family, and to have that time back. And I owe Jem now over 500 nights of a good night's sleep with no disruptions. But she hasn't cashed
I wasn't sure where you were going there. Over 500 nights of good night's sleep. That's great.
But she can cash them in whenever. But and having just the build up to a game. I love pre-seasons because there's no stress. You go, you train, you get fit. It's actually good fun. And then the build up to a game, that's where the stress is. And I'd be different, like coming into a game and then day of a game, far out. Jem had to get the kids out of the house and stuff. I don't have that. I can just relax.
Funny you should say. I've often say to people, Moz, that however many games of footy, either of us played, I'm more proud of I waited to play 300 times. Like the waiting to play was harder than the game.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
The physical toll of the games, I could, probably go again. But the anxiety and stress of waiting to play that day, you can only do that a certain number of times. and when it's over, it is over.
Yeah.
Moz, it's been great to chat, mate. It's great to have you back in the red, white and blue. So exciting for everyone at the footy club, but also the supporters will get a chance to spend a heap of time with you on match days and during the week. I know you'll be following the boys and riding every bump on Saturday, as will I, Marcus. Give our love to all the boys and the coaches and everyone up there. We're right in your corner as always, and let's see if we can get this thing cooking and get on a roll and see if that magic carpet ride can take off once again.
That's it.
Anything can happen, eh? Anything can happen. We've seen it before.
You never know your luck in the big city of Bris Vegas.